Hello and welcome to this next Linkability webinar. And I am delighted that today joining us to talk about personal branding on LinkedIn, we have a special guest all the way from Malaysia. Now, in a moment, I will introduce Joy to us all, but for the minute, I just want to explain a little bit about what is going to be happening today so that you are all aware of our process and can get the most out of today's webinar. Now, Joy and I will be talking about personal branding for around 45 minutes, after which we will have a Q&A section, and we have already received some great questions, but we would welcome yours too. So if you have a question that you would like to ask Joy, please do so in the chat, and we will spend some time at the end of the official part of this talking with you and answering those questions. Now, we have recorded today's webinar as we usually do, and we will send that out to you tomorrow using the email that you sent to us when you registered. We'll also be attaching to that email two documents, one the slides from today and also some Q&A answers that we have prepared in advance. If you don't receive that by the end of the weekend, please do check your spam folders on your email, and if you still can't find it, please do get in touch with us. Now, we have not had a webinar before that has been so popular as today's, and we are very thrilled about that. So what Joy and I have decided to do, Joy has generously agreed with not too much persuasion, I'm very happy to say, to return with us again in 2 weeks on March the 25th. So that's exactly 2 weeks today, and to have a live Q&A session again answering your questions about personal branding on LinkedIn. So please, we will let you know about that with some more details and a registration link. But for now and for today, let's welcome Joy Abdullah, who is talking with us from Malaysia. Now, Joy is a strategic marketing specialist who helps business owners to impact and influence the way we see business from a content, technology and business growth perspective through marketing. He's spent more than 30 years working in strategy, marketing and leadership in different parts of Asia Pacific, including Australia. And now today, he's sharing his skills with us here in New Zealand. He provides performance marketing and management consulting in way too many industries to mention here, and ensures your strategic marketing delivers on engagement and profitability. Welcome, Joy.
Lynnaire, thank you so much. I've been introduced so many times, I have to say that was one of the best. I'm delighted to be here. Thank you for this opportunity to talk to everyone in New Zealand, as well as good evening to those in the European and US joining us, and good morning to my network from India and Middle East. It's a pleasure to be here, Lynnaire.
Well, we're very thrilled to have you, and it's through the magic and power of LinkedIn, of course, that this has come about, and we were mutually introduced by a friend of yours and a colleague of mine, and we have been able to arrange this event specifically for our Linkability listeners this afternoon. Now, as you know, we're going to be talking about personal branding, and that's something that is very dear to my heart, and I'm looking very much forward to learning a lot more about it today. So we're going to share a screen with you, and we have some slides that we're going to be sharing, and that will mean that we can then keep you up to date with where we're going through the process today, and you can follow along with us. So there we are, and the first thing I want to do is to move the slides along. So why are we not getting that? I thought I had all this organised, but clearly I didn't. All right, so Joy, I wanted to start with this. This is a personal statement by you, and I wonder if you could explain to us a little bit about why you are here particularly talking about personal branding in relation to the work that you have done in the last 30 years.
Brilliant introduction again, Lynnaire. And that quote, I'd like to point our viewers to that quote. Personal branding, I learned 3 years ago. It's all about your story. And trust me, we all have a story. When you want to share that story, there's a reason, there's a purpose, and an objective. That's what personal branding brings you. I learned this 3 years ago. In a quick nutshell, I had just finished a corporate engagement of 7 years. I was employed. And like any other senior corporate professional, I dusted off my resume and I went out to look for a job. And guess what happened? Here was this really experienced corporate marketing professional who realized nobody knows what's the difference between me and a million other senior corporate professionals. And a light bulb went on, and I realized I've got to make a difference. I've got to stand out. I've got to give value. That's when this line, this statement was created, literally. Anybody who wants to achieve their goals needs to communicate their story with the world. And that story represents your brand, which is directly connected to your success. That's where my journey with personal branding started. And later, if we have time, I'm happy to explain how personal branding impacts not just individually, but in your career, in your business, in your work and life.
Fabulous. I can't wait to hear about that. So let's have a look now at what we're going to cover today. These are the questions and the topics that Joy and I think will bring you the most value in our discussion this afternoon. So we hope that by the time we've finished talking about this, that you'll have a really good understanding of what personal branding is all about, how you can use it to your best advantage in your business life, but also I think that through to your personal life as well, because I'm sure that the two are going to be interconnected, and Joy will talk to us about that. And of course, particularly with how that's going to help you with your LinkedIn marketing, which of course is my particular area of interest, as you can possibly understand. And we will also be then talking a little bit about how you can take the next steps and what might be able to be some practical places you can go after we have finished our discussion today. So let's start first of all then, Joy, with what exactly is a personal brand?
Absolutely happy to explain this. Before I dive into these three words, strong personal brand, let me take a step back to share one thing. We all have one life. We've been conditioned to understand that there's a work life, there's a home life, and there's a personal life. We've got these little compartments in our head that has come about from the way we've, I'll say, grown up. But just pull back and realize that the self is one. We might be changing clothes, we might be wearing many hats to execute various roles, but at the end of the day, there are some basics, some commonalities that are communicated, whether we are a husband, father, son, wife, girlfriend, boss, follower, manager, whatever the role, there are some commonalities that come out. And this is where these three words, strong personal brand, comes in. So there are four things to remember here. First, a strong personal brand is one that does not sort of put opinions into people's head, but actually creates an influence. And by virtue of interaction, by virtue of reading about that person, by working with that person or getting to engage with that person, we form a perception, or we form a view, I would use the word. I'm trying to stay away from the word opinion. That descriptor, Lynnaire is a very jovial person. That descriptor, jovial, becomes how we see her personal brand. That's the closest I can give you. So the first thing is that, your personal brand is the impact and influence of yourself summed up as a descriptor. The second point, what this impact does is that it creates familiarity. I'm sure we've all heard of this phrase, people buy from people. What is it all about? It's all about familiarity. What does familiarity do? It influences the perceptions that we have. And in marketing, we have this catchphrase where we say perception is reality, and we can cut across various domains of our life, be it social, sports, politics, general community, and we'll find that a lot of our perceptions create what we believe to be real. And that's what familiarity does. It creates a predisposition. And I know a lot of people would say there's gray in between that, but trust me, deep inside you, your predisposition is either black or it's white. It's good or it's bad. And there are different connections to it. Why? But it only operates binary. Third, what a strong personal brand does for you is, I'll use the single word, authority. But it's not authority from a very dictatorial or an oppressive or a boss kind of an order. It's an authority of a subject matter expert. So I defer to Lynnaire when it comes to LinkedIn expertise because she is the subject matter expert on that. She comes back and takes my assist on how do we take the brand forward, whether it's corporate or it's her brand, and we work together. Now, what that does is it creates a strong team. So the third key point of a personal brand that is strong is it helps you establish that authority, that expertise, and most importantly, single most important point, it brings out your genuineness. Let me at this point digress for a minute and explain. I'm not a personal branding expert. I am a strategic marketing specialist. But personal branding is a very important tool in my toolkit, without which I can't get employee advocacy, without which I can't get the right content in the right tone communicated as a third-party content, which then impacts the business brand or the service brand's perception. So you see the connection for me. It's very important to have that personal brand developed. That's what authority does. And last and not the least, the only reason you will go in to create a strong personal brand is to differentiate yourself or stand out. Now, this last point is very, very, very critical. Whether you are in any role, in any facet, it's always important to differentiate so that people that come to you, that form your community, come to you being attracted by the values that you communicate, by the views that you communicate, which is the service that you give to them. Now, this is a slight flip from how personal branding was seen, I would say about 5-6 years ago, to how it is executed, how it's seen today. 5-6 years ago, it was all about what we call the media celebrities today. People who are got, millions of followers, and who, when they promote a brand because they've got millions of followers, come in. That's under influencer marketing, to use jargon. But today, personal branding is all about being human. It's all about standing out amongst 8 billion odd people and saying, I'm human, I'm same as you, but I'm different. And here's why I'm different. Here's my authority, here's my value, and here's why I can serve you. These are the 3 key legs. So that's what a strong personal brand actually creates.
And before we move
Lynn,
on, Joy,
yours for the next question.
can I ask you before we move on, do we all have a personal brand? Is that something that we all automatically have and that we all need?
Great question, Lynnaire. Great question. Let me explain this. We all have our names, right? Mm-hmm. Now, many places we have common names. So Joy is pretty common. If I go back to Europe, back to UK, I will be asked this question, why is your name Joy? Because Joy we associate it with the feminine side. Because we have a name, that's where it all starts. Please realize this. When we are born and our parents Christian us or give us our name, they are giving something to us, which is a huge gift. That naming, that names that we are given with a lot of hope and aspirations that the next generation, the child, will be better and do better than the parents have done. This is the underlying thought of our names. So, do we need a personal brand? Well, if family legacy, love, and the whole reputation of carrying the family name forward is important, that's reason number one why you should. Reason number two, at any point in time, whether you're in university, you're going to graduate, you're a young professional, or you're in mid-career, you're going into doing a side hustle, building a personal brand always helps you. Having said that, please remember, it's extremely easy to destroy. For example, take a piece of paper and write 3 things about yourself. I love X. My interest is Y. I am passionate about Z. Write those 3 sentences and see the amount of time you take. Maybe 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes. But take another piece of paper and just tear it. You see the time to tear the paper is probably a couple of seconds. But the time to write those 3 lines is going to be maybe 5 minutes. The point I'm trying to make here is that building a personal brand is step by step by step. And Lynnaire, to take the example, because you like gardening, when you till the soil and you put in the seeds, you've got to water and nurture it for a certain period of time before the veggies grow, the shoots come up, or the flower bud comes out, whatever it is. That's a personal brand. It's a lifelong investment. Now, remember ripping the paper? Couple of seconds. One false step, one rant on today's social media. The digital world is very unforgiving. Please remember, whatever you said 5 years ago, if you've been online, is still out there. Can we find it? Absolutely. It's easy to find. So, in a nutshell, we all need a strong personal brand. You decide the purpose of life for which you want your brand, be it an author, be it housewife, a sports person, a social community worker, whatever the objective. But there's a reason why you want a brand, and then you create your strategy behind developing it. You feed the strategy by executing it, and you grow your brand. And day on day, your brand will grow. It's not something that's just 9 months and done.
Well, I'm really intrigued, particularly about the name aspect of a personal brand, and it now makes it very clear to me why I am so particular about using my full name when I'm online or doing anything with anyone, really. And so I'm really intrigued to have heard that explanation about it, Joy. So thank you so much for sharing that. So let's have a look now at why it's so critical in all parts of our lives. Please tell us all about this, because I'm absolutely dying to know why.
I think I just touched upon this, Lynnaire, but it's critical because in today's world where, especially after the pandemic, we are living in, I'll use this word generally, we are actually working in virtual reality. Look at this. It's 2 p.m. at your end.
Yes.
It's 9 a.m. at my end, and I've got a crowd coming in at 9 p.m. yesterday Eastern time in US. I've got 6:30 a.m. from India watching this. Why? We are in virtual, right? In virtual with millions on, how do you stand out? So when you're on the digital, now here's where it starts getting a little complicated. So I'm going to try and make it simple. We all have phones. We've all got our apps. We are on social. We are 24/7 connected online. Till we make a conscious decision, I'm unplugging Saturday, Sunday, boom, 48 hours, I'm not going to check my feed, just like we don't want to check our email. Okay, but your persona and your brand is still running there. There's a profile. Your last tweet, your last comment, your last feed is still up there. So the first thing why it's critical is simply noticeability. Now, if you decide, I just want to fade away and be the, wallflower on the wall, that's fine. That's a decision. Everything is a decision. You can choose to not build a personal brand. That itself is a decision towards your personal brand. Okay? But if you are, and like most of us, I think, you're interested in growing your career, you're interested in making sure the community work you're doing is noticed. Every one of us loves validation and appreciation. I haven't come across a single individual who does not want to be said, thank you, I appreciate you, this is really good, most kind of you. We all love it. So from those aspects, a personal branding is critical because it gives you noticeability. Now, you don't want noticeability of 7 billion people. You want noticeability maybe of 100,000 people, maybe of 50 people in your community, right? I use LinkedIn, really revamped my LinkedIn 3 years ago, and I'll share that if we have time. I don't want 1 million followers. I don't even want 100,000 followers. I've got a core group, but I want that core group to grow with me, to share my journey, my learnings, and let that become something that they can use in their journey. So the first part is noticeability. The second, exactly what we are doing. Because I've been noticeable, a mutual friend who's a colleague of Lynnaire introduced us. Lynnaire and I got together, we had some chats, and voila, here is an opportunity for Joy, the brand, working and talking about personal branding on linkability with Lynnaire. So that's the second reason. Who would say we don't want opportunities in our business, in our life, in our career? Two simple reasons why personal branding is critical. So give it a thought, take it on. It's not something that detracts, it adds.
I absolutely agree. And the fact that we are here today is testament to the opportunities that it provides. There's absolutely no question in my mind. So then let's move on, Joy, to how we're going to develop our unique personal brand. And I know you've got a particular way of doing this. So please share your formula with us.
Absolutely. Lynette, do we have the triangle visual here?
We do. We have it right here for you as well.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Let me walk this through. So, as Lynette mentioned, this is how I've created my personal brand, and I'm still working and I'm still doing it. It's the 3M method, as I call it: meaning, makeup, message. Meaning. The meaning is your personal brand is all about your purpose, your values, and your goals. It's you. Remember the alphabet U only. It's all about you. And you've got to get very, very comfortable with who you are, what do you stand for, your values and beliefs, and how are you going to communicate that. And this is where the second M comes in, the makeup. You've got to understand your emotional as well as your intellectual traits. What are you comfortable with? And I'm going to spend half a minute here to just explain this bit. A lot of us, and sorry if I sound a little stereotyping, I apologize in advance, but having worked with tons of male and women, female executives and individuals across, well, accountants, lawyers, doctors, you name it, business owners, the thing that I notice is that men are very uncomfortable connecting with the emotions that is there. I've been through it. I know it. We tend to shy away from recognizing our own emotion. Now, when it comes to personal brand, it's very critical you own who you are from an emotional perspective. So, for example, I used to find it very hard to display any vulnerability. Today, a display of vulnerability by saying, I'm really sorry, Lynnaire, but I do not know how to do this Excel. I'm not good at Excel. 3 years back, I would say, yeah, I know it. I'm going to get this done. And I would go away and look at a tutorial. But today, I'm going to be straight up front. It's a very flippant excuse, I know, but connecting with that vulnerability is getting to grips with your own emotion. Why? Because then when you write your content or you communicate to somebody in person, you bring that out, and that highlights who you are from your heart perspective. Your heart is your emotion. It communicates. This is very important because this is how your content or your story, whatever you're going to communicate, your message, the last M, gets structured. And which brings me to the last M, which is we all have a story. And this is my most favorite part. It's absolutely the favorite part. Trust me, 3.5, 4 years ago, I didn't know I had a story. And a couple of people that I was speaking with, just conversations, they said, You're so diverse. You've got a brilliant story. Why don't you pen it down? And that journey, just writing for my own self, like journaling, brought out my personal brand story. It helped me create to understand my purpose, my mission, and that's the story I communicate. And for anybody who's interested, who's got a couple of minutes, feel free to jump into my LinkedIn profile, check the featured section, you'll get it all there. So this is the 3M method, coming back: meaning, makeup, message. We structure this together. You can do it. You can take some help and do it. I've done it over the last 3 years individually, using tools all available. How long does it take? Once you've done some development work, you would need to put in, I would say, about 90 minutes a day for the first quarter, 3 to 4 months in the initial phase to build it up. And then it just becomes a calendar routine where you're spending 30 to 45 minutes, half that amount per day, behind your brand, in terms of the image and the perception you are creating, the impact you want to form. The rest is your interpersonal communication, your interpersonal interactions that you have out there. So that's the 3M method that we follow. Or sorry, I follow.
I think that's a fantastic way of describing it and making it easy for people to understand. 3Ms, people can easily remember that: message, makeup, and meaning. And that's a great way for them to start the journey of creating their own personal brand. So thank you for sharing that formula with us, because I think that's going to make it a lot easier for everybody, Joy. So let's now move on to the LinkedIn aspect of this, which of course, as you know, is my particular interest in finding out more about personal branding, because I like to think that I do have a personal brand on LinkedIn, but I am well aware that I could be doing things better. I could be doing things differently. I might be, for example, sharing mixed messages about my brand. And so I'm wanting to make sure that everything I do on LinkedIn is in line with my personal brand and what that's going to look like, both on LinkedIn and in other aspects of my business and personal life. So I think that if we could move on to the how-tos, then that would be fabulous. And you've got here that the first one is to identify your purpose. So could you talk us through that, about what that means and exactly how we might be able to identify what our I guess that's what our why is. Your purpose is your why. Is that fair enough?
It's fair enough. But let me just put it into context. So when you're working on developing your personal brand, or I call it the brand house, so to speak, purpose also comes in there. Remember, under meaning, you've got purpose, value, interest. So that's your personal purpose, your personal why. Why do I exist? Why am I here? What's my mission? You discover something that is a passion with you, if I may use that word. Sometimes it can be a very deep interest. Now, once you've got that, LinkedIn is nothing but a communication channel. So you've got to realize, why am I coming on to LinkedIn? That's where the why comes in, your purpose. So you're coming on for 2, 3, 4 reasons. One, I simply want to network and increase my social online network using LinkedIn. And I'm using LinkedIn because it's meant for professional people. So I want to network with professional people. See where the purpose, your objective is going. You've got to be very clear. 2, I run a small business, or I'm a business owner, I'm a CEO. I'd like to build my personal brand on LinkedIn so that tomorrow when I need new contracts, new referrals, a new CEO gig, people will know who I am because I'm on LinkedIn. So that's a different objective, okay? But you've got your purpose there. The third is, you're a professional. You're an accountant, lawyer, doctor, engineer, whatever, and you are working somewhere, but you've got your mindset on doing a little bit of a side hustle, which you want to become your full-time gig a couple of years down the line. So you're taking this year or 2 years to build your persona, i.e. your personal brand, on LinkedIn, because that's where you think your crowd, prospects, and customers are going to be, right? Simply put, identify the reason why you are using LinkedIn. And again, here's the classic trap. Come across tons of people who've just jumped onto this channel for the sake of it being another social media channel which I need to be on. But if you don't know where you're going, any vehicle, even your legs will take you there because you don't know where you're going. So be very clear, why are you using LinkedIn? That's where I'm going to leave it at. And then, Lynnaire, this is your expertise. Developing your profile and using LinkedIn to maximize, I'll use the word, your personal brand. Everything that you're going to share actually helps you maximize your brand on LinkedIn, is your area. So I'm going to leave it there. And I'd like to, at the end of that section, come back. There's a couple of very interesting questions out on chat, which I'd like to take up and just give a perspective on.
All right, that's fantastic. Thank you so much, Joy. So, yes, there are several areas of LinkedIn that I believe are crucial to your personal brand. And, of course, the first one is your profile, and that absolutely needs to be complete, and it certainly needs to be compelling. So how do you go about doing that and making sure that that connects with your personal brand and, as Joy has said, your purpose? Well, I think the first thing is that you need to be very careful about your imagery and also about the words that you use, because LinkedIn is now not just a platform where you just put up your CV and or your resume and then you forget about it. It is all about telling your personal story and sharing the things that are important to you in your life. And dare I say it, I think it is probably your best online bio that of anything. Even if you have an about page on your website, you will never have as much information there as you have on your LinkedIn profile. So it's really important to make sure that everything that you put on your profile matches your personal brand. So that is, for a start, how you look, how you dress, how you connect with people through your profile photo, how you write your headline and make sure that people understand what it is that you do and the benefits that you can bring to working with them. And it's also about your cover image and making sure that people understand, again, where you work, what you do, how you can help other people. So the profile is really very important, and having all aspects of that filled out, including your experience, adding in featured items like video, images, articles, blog posts, anything that you have got that tells people how you can help them and shares your expertise should go on your profile. So everything else that you work on LinkedIn is predicated on how well you have put your profile together and been able to reflect your personal brand. But it goes beyond that. It goes beyond that in terms of these next three items, which are connecting, publishing, and engaging. Now, these three things I talk about a lot in my book, Linkability. Now, connecting, of course, is the making sure that you have a good network of really top quality connections, people who you know, you like and you trust, and who know, like and trust you, because as Joy's already pointed out, these are the people that want to do business with us, and inevitably we want to do business with them. So ensuring that you connect to the right people in the right way is part of your brand. So, for example, if you just connect with anybody without a personal message, you are sending them a message. If you connect to somebody with a personal message that is warm and welcoming and uses their name, then that too is sending them a message about your personal brand. When you are publishing content on LinkedIn, and that could be an article, it could be a video, it could be post, a poll, any of the formats, again, this is you expressing your personal brand. Now, as most of you who know me know, I'm a writer. And so writing on LinkedIn is the thing I like to do most. And so my posts are largely text-based, but a lot of people are really much more comfortable with video, for example, and so that's the medium that they should choose to publish on LinkedIn. And the one thing about publishing is that it gets you noticed, and noticeability was one of the words that Joy used and I wrote down, because I think that that's really important. If you want to be seen and you want to stand out on LinkedIn, noticeability is how you're going to do that. And one of the ways that you can do that is by making sure you share useful content. A lot of people think that publishing or posting on LinkedIn is all about promoting themselves, telling everybody how good they are. Well, I can sit here and confidently tell you that it's not. It's not about you, unfortunately. It's about your audience and the people that you want to read your material. So when you're thinking about what you're going to write and what you're going to publish, make sure that you are thinking about the kind of material that your audience wants to read. That way you'll resonate with your audience, and it will give you two things. It will give you visibility and it will give you credibility with those that you want to know you, like you, and trust you. Now, the final one of these is engaging. And this is a tactic that I talk about in my book as one of my main strategies, which is not used a great deal and could be used by most of us to better effect. Engaging is where you write comments on other people's posts. Now, you might think that that's not terribly important, but in actual fact, it is a really critical part of your personal brand, how you go about doing this. If, for example, you were just to say, great post, and move on, then that's not exactly adding much to the conversation. It's not helping the dialogue, it's not helping the debate, it's not adding any expertise. But if you were to write a 2, 3, 4, 5 line comment that does add to the debate and does help people to understand the issue better, that will help your personal brand. And you can do that on anybody's posts, anybody that you're connected to, anybody that you follow. You don't have to be connected to people. What you need to do is to find good people who are writing good content that you can engage on well. So if you do all those 4 things, then you will develop what I call linkability, which is, I believe, I'm defining it anyway, as the art of making yourself someone that other people on LinkedIn want to connect to. So you want to be linkable. And if you do all of those things, have a good profile, connect well, publish good quality content, and engage in an appropriate way, and on the back of your personal brand, having really identified your purpose, then I think that you are going to do exceptionally well on LinkedIn. So from here, shall we move on, Joy, to the first of our questions? I've already covered those. We've got several questions here. Would you like to start with these ones, or would you prefer just to go to the live chat ones?
And so what you asked in terms of do not be whimsical in interacting with things that you find interesting on LinkedIn feed goes back to A, what I said about purpose or why are you on LinkedIn, and B, what Lynnaire just mentioned about the linkableness or linkability that other people find to you. See, choose your feed based on why are you on LinkedIn. So your interest might be, I need a job. I'm being very simplistic here. I need a job. So you're not going to sort of comment on a cat video, though you are an animal lover. Because you're on LinkedIn to get a job, your job and loving animals, unless you're looking for a job in that category of, veterinarian or animal care, doesn't have anything to do. Maybe a bit flippant, but choose your feed based on what your personal interests are. And I'm going to take this back to my 3M, where I told you about your makeup and your meaning. So purpose, values, interest. When you know those, you understand what triggers you in terms of your emotional connection and your emotional thinking. You select the content. Now, while that is based on the topicality of the content, the other thing is who is this person that you're commenting on. You've got to take it 2 or 3 steps ahead to say, if I connect, is this a social network connection, or is this probably going to the business somewhere? So that's my answer. Select your feed carefully, for the simple reason is the LinkedIn algorithm actually will show you what you prefer to see, not what you're looking for. So you've got to actually create your feed by looking for something, working on it for 7 days, and then you'll start getting the same kind of topics. That's from the chat, Lynnaire. Thank you so much. We can go back to Q&A.
Fabulous. Let's do that then now. Where were we on the Q&A? Over here, I believe. All right. So the questions today have come from a colleague of ours in the United States. So, Teresa, thank you so much for sending us these questions, and we will answer all of them in the document that we're sending out with the replay of the webinar tomorrow. But we're going to at least tackle these three here today. Joy, so why don't we start with number one, which I know is something that is dear to your heart about B2B and B2C. So let's hear what you suggest about successfully targeting both on LinkedIn.
Okay, I think the document has it, but I'm going to try and make this very short. B2B, B2C, micro, macro, all of these are jargons. First thing first is take that word client. Lynnaire is my client, I'm Lynnaire's client. Lynnaire is my friend, I'm Lynnaire's friend. The common denominator is we are both people. So remember, whatever you do on LinkedIn, you are talking to another human being who thinks, feels, bleeds red just like you do. Might be having differences of opinion and perspective. Can you successfully target? The short answer is yes. Again, it goes back to what are you on LinkedIn for? So tons of people are very successful on B2C, direct business offering to clients, individual clients. So you've got to make your personal brand and your content and visibility to connect with them. What do they need? You got to serve that. Similar things operates on B2B. The only difference in B2B, which is where I play, is that B2B has an average of 6 to 7 people in terms of the decision making of buying one service. So I work in consulting, right? I'm in marketing consulting. My work involves 5, 6 people taking a decision to bring a consultant on board to solve some issue, a problem, or a pain that they have, right? Now, it's not one person. It's not the business owner. It's not the CEO. So I've got to target and I've got to reach. I've got to profile who are my decision makers or influencers in the companies. So I've got to create a big net. I've got to create content that resonates with them. And let me tell you this from experience, 9 out of 10 times, business does not, on the B2B, does not happen in 24 hours. A lot of people interact and sit on the fence and wait, and then they refer you to somebody, a colleague of theirs, or up the ladder, a boss or whoever, who needs to bring a specific expertise on board. So if you're clear about your purpose, i.e. objective and how you're going to approach it, you can successfully target both groups of clients using LinkedIn. In fact, in my opinion, I don't use Facebook. LinkedIn is the best because people are on LinkedIn for a particular purpose, and which automatically flows to the second question that we've received. How do we define the best target audience? Well, I would always advise go niche. The better you profile your target audience, the more you know about him or her, the more you're able to serve customized. And I use this within quotes. It's personal. And people, as Lynnaire mentioned, know, like, and trust. These are the 3 keys. The more familiarity you create with that prospect by communicating in a way that I understand what you need. Here's something that might be helpful to you. Here's a referral site. Here's additional information. That niche is going to help you become the go-to source, which is where your personal brand starts scoring. And then when you're the go-to source, that target audience, that one person is going to constantly refer you, buy from you, use you. Boom, you're done. Absolutely. So go niche. And last, yeah, sorry, Lynnaire, go ahead.
No, I think that's absolutely right. And all my marketing experience tells me exactly the same thing, because it's very hard to stand out if you're trying to be all things to every person or to every business.
Correct.
Whereas if you identify your niche, and for me, my niche is LinkedIn, then I can easily I can target people who are interested in LinkedIn and not people who are interested in social media generally, because I don't do lots of social media generally anymore. My target people are those who are interested in LinkedIn, and that's what my personal brand's all about. So it definitely comes back to that again. So that all makes a whole load of sense to me, Joy. So what about the third question here?
I love this question, and I'm so glad we got this before the webinar. This is always this is one of the biggest questions I always have when I'm developing the work on personal branding with people. What are you comfortable with? I've worked with people who love to do every single piece of content as a part of themselves. So I ask this question: what is this supposed to do for you? All right. Whatever it is, I love a particular type of cuisine. I'm sharing it. I love it. That does not mean Lynnaire has a passion or an interest in that cuisine, but she has a passion, or for, let's say, Italian food. Now, if cuisine or food is my area, can I talk something about Italian that is going to attract Lynnaire? So personal posting should be based on two platforms. One, what are you comfortable sharing? Please remember, personal branding does not mean you share every possible thing. No, it's not an emotional rant. It's not your blue days, not your high days. It's a very balanced, objective projection of your personality, who you are. Second, what do you want? What is the value of posting that piece of content? And here I'm going to add a caveat. Don't post, for those of us who are regular, don't post when you cannot answer this question: is it adding value? If it's not, hold it back. Sleep on it. Nothing goes wrong in 24 hours, and you might have a different perspective on it. So if you need a mathematical ratio, it's 1:4. For every 3 pieces of interest and work related postings, bring out one personal story. That's my personal content strategy. I use it that way. Hopefully it'll help.
Well, I would agree with everything that you have said there, Joy. And whenever I'm posting personal content, I try very hard to make it business related. And the reason that I do that is purely selfish, really. And that's because when it's not business related, it just dies. I just get, nobody seems to be interested in my gardening posts on LinkedIn. Now, I don't know why, and I am very disappointed to hear this, but it is absolutely true. The minute I put anything to do with gardening, even if I relate it to business in some way, shape or form, it doesn't really resonate with people on LinkedIn. If, however, I was to put a post like that onto Facebook, I think that all my friends would weigh in on the quality of my dahlias. But I think that you're absolutely right in the sense that it should be about what we are comfortable sharing, but also if it's part of our personal brand, is it in fact helping us to move forward? Is it helping people to understand more about us and to make us noticeable in the right ways and to make us likable and trustworthy? So this makes a lot of sense to me. Now, I just want to mention at this point, we did have a couple more questions that we are going to be sending the answers to you on a PDF tomorrow. But at this stage, I'd like to give Joy the opportunity to talk to us a little bit about how he personally can help us with our personal branding and his own program around that. So Joy, please just take a minute or several to tell us a little bit about your AIM program.
I'm just coming to that. Before that, Nikki Mareko has just sent in a Q&A, so I'm just going to give a quick answer to that. It's a very interesting one, and come back right here. Nikki, thank you for this question. I'm reading it out for the rest on the show. Do you think there are or will be soon be too many LinkedIn posts where people are sharing stories about difficult times in their personal life, showing vulnerability? Yes, but has it become too commonplace, more of a trend? Okay, I'm answering it here, so it's not going to be on the Q&A. There is never going to be enough about us sharing on our vulnerabilities. Please remember, there is about 350 or 370 million odd active accounts out of some 600 million, if my data serves me correctly, on LinkedIn. I'm just talking LinkedIn specifically, all right? And out of that, there's about 100 million of us who are regular content providers. And when I say regular content providers, means we are posting 5 to 6 days of the week. And in those, there is another group which shares their personal stories. Will it become too much? No. The only reason I'm going to say this no emphatically is because what we as a human race have just gone through the past 1 year has actually changed our perception of self and priorities vastly. And I see this in my work. I'm seeing tremendous behavioral change where people have become softer. I think, we were cynical to a point with everything about life and the way our lives and societies are, but I'm seeing a distinct change where priorities are about self and family. To use a word, and I digress slightly, it's no longer selfish to take a moment or a day and care for yourself. Do something good for yourself. Earlier, I would say even a year ago, we would shy away to actually pamper ourselves or take a downtime for our own mind and mental peace. So has it become a trend? Yes, in a way, many people are using it from a business perspective. And I'm sorry to say, but I think we are intelligent enough to be able to suss it out very clearly. But there are honest, my percentage wise, I would put 70% on the honest sharing with the hope that it helps somebody because I've gone through this and that experience might be a learning for you. Whereas 30% are trying to commercialize / monetize it. And this does have an impact on the individual's personal branding. So that's, I hope, explains what it is over there and goes ahead. Coming back to how do I help you? So I have a program which is part of a whole marketing program I use to help employees and business owners develop their personal brand. It's called Attention in Me, and it has 6 sessions in which I take you through the 3M, help you structure, handhold you through your initial 1 month of content postings. And I'm happy to, just reach out. Lynnaire's got all the contact details up here. When you get it on the email, reach out to me on LinkedIn. Happy to set up a 30-minute free discovery chat. And I love to talk to people, so it's always a pleasure. And I'll walk you through. And if you need anything, connect with me on LinkedIn. I'll send you a couple of lines, a small PDF to talk to you about that program. Anything else I can do. So that's it. That's it from me.
Sounds amazing, Joy. Thank you so very much indeed. And on the screen for you now are the different ways that you can connect with Joy through his LinkedIn profile. He, of course, would be delighted if you were to follow him. And if you wish to connect to him, please don't forget to send him a personal message because you want it to reach out to him with your personal brand and be likable and noticeable and all of those positive things. You can also book a call here with Joy as well, although we have discussed this and there could be some issues with the time zone, so you're best to make sure you contact him through his LinkedIn in the first instance. All right, now where else can you find out more about me and what I do? You can again follow me on LinkedIn or connect with me. I'll be very happy to connect you. Do let us know if you're connecting with us that you were on the call today. We'd be very pleased to hear from you. I have a number of free resources at the link there, my link tree, and also, of course, one more mention of my book, Linkability: 4 Powerful Strategies to Maximize Your LinkedIn Success. Now, I just want to take a moment just before we leave today to thank Joy for participating in today's webinar. We've had a blast putting it together for you. I don't know about you, but I've learned a tremendous amount. And one of the things I love about putting together webinars, Joy, I don't know if you find this, is that I always learn much more than I ever ever think I'm able to tell anybody else or teach anyone else. And I've certainly learned a lot today. And I'm going to go away and have a good think about the many things that you've said to us and some of the keywords that you've given us along the lines of genuineness and noticeability, message and meaning, and make sure that they all align on my own LinkedIn profile. And I think this is going to help me to better be able to serve my clients when I'm doing profile updates for people too. So I can't thank you enough for joining us today.
Lynnaire, it's been a pleasure. I echo what you said. I love webinars and video call interaction because the learning is much faster than reading or update. I'm a visual learner, so that's number one. Number two, which is why I'm delighted that we're going to have this Q&A session on 25th. And to all who are attending, feel free to send in your questions to Lynnaire, to me, connect with us on LinkedIn, and I look forward to that session. That's going to be another great one. Thank you so much. It's been a delight, absolutely.
Well, it's been a pleasure to have you. And so, yes, we are going to do a Q&A follow-up session on March the 25th. It will be at 2 p.m. New Zealand Daylight Time. We will send you an email invitation to join us at that. And as Joy says, you are very welcome to DM us with your questions in advance, or we will happily talk to you live actually on that event. And we may turn that into a meeting rather than a webinar so that we can have people join us actually on the screen. That would be lovely to do too. Now, our next Linkability webinar will be on April the 15th, and that's another Thursday afternoon. And we're going to be on that webinar talking about video on LinkedIn. This is not something that I'm terribly comfortable about doing, and so it's another area that I'm looking at learning a lot in, and our guest on that is going to be a video coach, Gillian Whitney, who will be joining us there. So I'm looking forward to that. So, Joy, thank you again for joining us today, and thank you to everybody who has also joined us live from around the world. We understand we've had people here from the US. Hello, it's probably late at night or very early in the morning in other parts of the world, so we really do appreciate you coming along and joining us here this afternoon for me and this morning for Joy, and we look forward to seeing you all again on the 25th for our follow-up Q&A session. So from Joy and I, both of us, thank you very much indeed for joining us today, and have a fabulous rest of your day today. Bye for now.